Welcome to Caen, France, where we are standing outside the centuries-old Chateau de Caen, which dates back as far as the year 1060, and William the Conqueror who put it up. I wonder if it was like an IKEA flat pack of its day. Opposite is the tall church of St Pierre with its 260-foot tower, and from here we could go into the castle ramparts and look around most of it for free. And low cost, budget or free is my speciality here at Carl's Travel Channel, where every journey costs less than £200. Please sit back, relax and enjoy the ride, and always remember, the nearest exit may be behind you. We're going to travel from here to take a journey on another ferry, one I have always wanted to take, the Normandie, back home to Portsmouth, England. Now the Britannia has retired, she will be the next of the Brittany Ferries fleet to go. Unlike my last sailing on the Barfleur, I wonder if today everything will go to plan. Anyhow, before we do that, let's leave the fort here in Caen and have an explore around the old town before taking a bus to the port of Ouistreham. The old town square is beautiful and really well preserved. However, surprisingly, around lunchtime, I found that many of the bars and cafes were closed, and there was only really one main shopping street where there were any open, and here I finally found one. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to try to pronounce the name. However, it provided me with a plug and a drink. Back on tour, I am not sure who this fella is, but he is obviously keeping an eye on the credit Agricole over here. This is the Place de la Repubblica, and it looks like at certain times of year it has a fairground set up. I loved the Art Deco style of La Poste's head office in Caen. Directly opposite is the more 1960s brutalist style headquarters of the French prefecture of Calvados, of which Caen is its capital. I passed by the Theatre Caen, which translates into the Caen Theatre, built in the 1960s to replace the original. Another of Caen's many fantastic churches. This, the Church of St John, which actually was put on the list of historic monuments all the way back in 1840. Its bell tower reminds me a little of Notre Dame. Here I found one of my other loves in life. No, not Joan of Arc, but the giant redwood tree behind her. I named it the Caen Giant. This is in Memorial Park. What Joan is doing here, I am not sure, as she's more synonymous with Rouen, where you can visit on one of my earlier videos. Anyhow, it's time to try and find a bus back to Ouistreham, as I have a ferry to catch. However, sadly, that was easier said than done. Besides trying to locate the bus stop, the main challenge I had was drawing out cash, as I could not find an ATM anywhere that did not charge an extortionate fee. However, at least on the way, I found this little model of Caen in the local tourist office, which was closed. I resorted in the end to downloading the local app and purchasing a ticket on my phone. The app is called Twisto, and the bus fare was €1.60. Hopefully this will save you all the hassle I had in finding out how to do it. Within half an hour or so, I'm back in Ouistreham, and I decide to go and check out the Hotel du Fer, where I considered staying on this trip, but sadly the price went up by the time I was ready to book. Despite not staying here, I thought I would try out the hotel bar for a beer and to see where it's located and its canal and lochside views for the riverway that goes up to Caen. You could have lunch here also in the little restaurant. It's ideally located for ferry passengers and probably cheaper on average than the Ibis Styles, though I know this is where Scott from Planes, Trains and Everything would stay. Anyhow, it's time to find my not so ideally located hotel, which is around a 3/4 of a mile walk north of here. En route, I saw this local house selling what I think is potatoes. If you know, let me know in the comments below. Alarmingly, my footpath then ran out, but alas, I was already here at the B&B Hotel Ouistreham. It wasn't too bad a journey after all. The price for this hotel was only €55 per night. This was a flexible rate booked on their app. Amazingly, my shoes are already in here after a long day travelling. The double bed was very comfortable, with comfy pillows as well, and sockets were provided either side of the bed. The view from the window was also not too bad really, with views over the field and also the canal side down to Caen. Some more close-ups of the bed and sockets. The process of checking in, however, was not so good, with a very confusing automated check-in machine, which I wish I could have showed you for future trips. And here is a flat screen TV, and of course the obligatory shower video to see how it looks. Soap, linen and towels are provided, and even other items are available for purchase should you have forgotten anything. I then decided to try to find some food, as there was nothing really close by, so took this very scary dark walk down a local road to the McDonald's, where the food was pretty good actually. The options seemed better than in the UK. After another scary walk back, in the dark, I make it back to the B&B Hotel Ouistreham, where I settle down for a very nice night's sleep. And good morning from an early and eerie, pitch black Ouistreham. It's 6 AM and I have to take the dark stroll the mile back down to the ferry terminal. Passing again the Hotel Affair, which you could see now why it would have been a lot easier to have stayed here. But anyhow, I have a ferry to catch, so let's keep on going. To the right, I can already see many cars and lorries driving through towards the ship. The Port de Caen comes into sight, and I'm very much looking forward to a hot coffee and breakfast, which I find at La Terminal Cafe inside, and I'd go for a chocolate croissant. I make my way through the, as you can see, busy terminal of Ouistreham, and then it's a quick journey through security before boarding the bus to the ferry footbridge. I'm not quite sure why they didn't build the terminal next to the dock to avoid this bus. However, it is better than Portsmouth, which has no bridge at all and lengthy delays. And I get my first view of the MV Normandie, a ship I've always wanted to sail on. The bus is disability friendly, and there is a lift inside here to take you up the stairs to the boarding bridge level. And so, here we go. We are almost on board, ready for our voyage back to England. I decide to do what I normally do when I board a new ship and climb up to the highest deck for a good panoramic view of the surrounding port. When I board a ferry for the first time, I always feel like a kid in a candy store and want to explore all over her decks. Let's then go for an explore on this cold and foggy Caen morning. Compared to most other ferries I've seen, she certainly has a huge amount of deck space. Up here, on the top, is the helipad. And welcome aboard the MV Normandie. She was launched on the 3rd of October 1991 and christened on the 15th of May 1992. The port is now clearing out and the ship almost ready to set sail. A huge funnel sits elegantly lit up in the morning lights. Despite the rain, it actually was not too cold today, and as you can see, coats were not really required walking around out here. A poster guide for spotting whales and dolphins in the English Channel. And And here is Normandie's construction plate to confirm that she entered service in 1992, delivered from Turku, the Massa Yards in Finland. That's it. Bon voyage. The time is 8:31 AM and we set sail for Portsmouth, England. Whilst we are getting ready to set sail, I would just like to say thank you to all of my viewers for 2024, and I hope you come back again in the new year. If there are any particular destinations or ferry journeys that you would like me to make videos of, please let me know in the comments below. The foot passengers bus is just visible. Coming up soon, over the next few weeks, will be my interesting journey from Gibraltar to Africa on the Fast Cat, and then following that, there will be the journey from Newcastle to IJmuiden in the Netherlands with DFDS on the King Seaways. It certainly doesn't take long for the car alarms to start going off. A close-up of the lifebelt of the Normandie. And then behind, the birds are flocking en masse into the whirl whipped up by the waves of the ship, presumably looking for fish. As we set sail, a few notes on Normandie's future. She's due to retire in April 2025 from the Brittany Ferries fleet, now fortunately been sold to La Méridionale line, as she will be operating from Marseille to Tangier during the summer. Rather than removing this long section of video, I've sped it up so you can see her departure from the port of Ouistreham. There is a glorious and large sandy beach here, and now I have visited Caen city itself. Next time I do this trip, I will stay at a hotel in Ouistreham itself and explore the local area. Looking back at the ship's wake and the port fading away into the distance behind us, and of course the flag of France flying proud at her stern. Her large but slightly unconventional style funnel is above. Let's head back down the stairs now and inside to the warm, as I'm in need of a good cooked full English breakfast. I see you can play table tennis out here, presumably in the summer. We enter through the bar area, which, surprisingly, still remains closed here. Passing by a statue of a horse, which one always associates with the sea. This is her main foyer and entrance atrium. However, I really don't think it looks as grand as the one on board Bretagne. And yes, more horses. I wonder what they're for. We're not on British Airways. Another excellent Brittany Ferries breakfast, and again, only €11.85. Really good value for money. And of course, the view of the sea. Time to explore the inside of the ship some more, and we begin by having a look through her deck plans. Here we are on deck 7, and then all of the passenger facilities are above on decks 8 and 9. Heading back upstairs, I find the Promenade Cheyenne, or pet area, and opposite here is the onboard cinema. I'm not sure if this was open today, but I didn't investigate. I don't really fancy watching a film on a ship. I then have a rest in the very quiet and still closed bar. However, fortunately, it did open around 10 or 15 minutes after I took this video, and I was able to enjoy a cheeky afternoon beer.
Please may we inform you that the code cabins are now ready. We thank you for your patience.
I didn't quite understand what that announcement meant. Up on the decks here is the smoking area behind the bar. Passing by us is one of the world's largest container ships. I believe it was the MSC Mariella, although it may have been one of her sisters. These behemoths of the ocean are the largest container ships afloat and are 400 metres long and weigh 233,000 tonnes. Shortly after her passing, we were also passed by the Brittany Ferries Normandie, which I had rowed to Caen last night. If you've not watched the video yet, please go back and watch it on my channel. For this 1 week only, Normandie was operating from Portsmouth to Caen instead of Paul to Cherbourg. And land ahoy! The southern tip of the Isle of Wight comes into view, as I once again get battered by the wind. Her funnel continues to steam us across the final part of the voyage. I'm not sure why people go climbing and sliding up here, but I guess people must have tried before, hence the notice. It's certainly got more blustery as the voyage has gone on. Let's get around the other side of the ship so we can see more of the Isle of Wight. A nice spurt of smoke from the funnel. I found this really quite stunning. We passed by the Minerva Coralia, a huge 249 metre long crude oil tanker, registered in Malta, where I will be going on a future trip. There I will be taking a ferry to Gozo and back. Hopefully the video should be ready in a few weeks' time. The English mainland finally comes into full view, with Southsea and its pier. As the land approaches closer, we can see Southsea Common, where you can find Southsea Castle, the D-Day story and the HMS Shannon Monument. It will be a good place to explore one day. The tall monument visible is the Portsmouth Naval Memorial to commemorate the 25,000 sailors lost during the First and Second World Wars. Cheekily slipping in behind us is one of Whitelink's 2 high-speed catamaran craft, the White Rider 1 or White Rider 2. I'm not sure which one she is. They have operated between Portsmouth and Ryde since 2009. Unlike my voyage on Bretagne, I thought today I would get a view of Gosport. You can see here its traditional naval buildings. Gosport is also home to its famous submarine museum, which I would highly recommend. Back on the Portsmouth side, the Whitelink vessel Victoria of White comes into view, the flagship of their fleet, which joined in 2018. I always think, due to her height, she looks a little top-heavy. I need to make a video on board her. Of course, Portsmouth's iconic Spinnaker Tower at 560 foot tall. In front of her is this mysterious red and white super yacht, which I would go to check out after arriving in Portsmouth later on. The White Rider pulls into its berth behind us. The other tall building coming into view is 1 Gunwharf Quays, or also called the Gunwharf Building, or even known to locals as the Lipstick. It was built in 2008. Then approaches Portsmouth's famous historic dockyard and the HMS Warrior. I was really in for a treat here. A few weeks ago, when I arrived on Bretagne, the flagship of the Royal Navy Fleet, the Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier, was in dock. Today, her sister, the HMS Prince of Wales, was here instead, so I can now say I've seen them both. Sadly, once again, none of the F-35 Lightning aircraft were visible on her decks. The size and scale of these huge aircraft carriers never fails to impress. Our final destination comes into view, Portsmouth International Port, and docked in already is the other Brittany Ferries vessel, the Armorique, now replacing Bretagne for the winter on the Portsmouth St Malo run. When arriving into Portsmouth, I always find it a nice surprise as to which other ferries will be docked alongside us when we get there, and they often give me inspiration for future videos. The best view you can ever have of another ship is when you pull alongside her in a port. Like Barfleur, Cotterton, and of course the Normandie, Armorique is yet another Finnish-built ship and was launched comparatively recently in 2008 and delivered in 2009. She has a myriad of round portholes. And that's it. We've arrived. Time to enjoy a final view of Armorique before the very long wait to head down to the car decks for the foot passengers bus. After almost half an hour of waiting, I was finally on board and heading out, though sadly that put pay to any trip up the Spinnaker Tower today, as I needed to head home to London. So, here we go. Or maybe not. At least, unlike in Newcastle, there were not long queues for passport control. The Normandie and Armorique both berthed, curiously, in different directions. One is head-on. I decided to walk into Portsmouth city centre, which was probably a mistake, as it was a very long way. Anyway, here we are at the Christmas market being set up, and a view of Gunwharf Quays. Just above the View Cinema, I can never resist more shots of the Spinnaker Tower, this time with a more Christmassy appearance. Let's head down to the dockside and check out some of the boats before we head back. I never did find out who the large red and white yacht belonged to, as I became distracted by the Victoria of Wight reversing into its berth. It clearly must have been away to the Isle of Wight and back in the time it took me to get from the ferry terminal and into town and have a coffee. I suppose this is doable with a 45-minute sailing time each way, plus another 20 minutes to half an hour for loading. This was supposed to be the part of the video where I went up the Spinnaker Tower. However, due to the late arrival into town, this is the closest you are going to get for today. Also, a close-up view of Portsmouth Historic Dockyard and the HMS Warrior. I'm not sure where the Victory is. Sadly, all good things must come to an end, and I head into Portsmouth Harbour Station and to my pre-booked train on SWR with an advance single of only £15. If you've seen several of my videos, you're probably surprised to see me on a train. However, I needed to get back in more of a rush today, so I decided to take my chances on the train actually working for once. The seats were relatively comfortable until it became busy later on, and as you can see, at-seat power is provided on every row. Not including food, here are the total ticket and hotel costs for the whole trip, totalling up to £98. Stunning value for money. If you're staying overnight, you could pay £55 extra for a cabin on board.
South Western Railway service to London Waterloo by Guildford, first stop Portsmouth and Southsea.
And with that, thank you for watching Carl's Travel Channel. Please like, subscribe, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.